What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome. This is the 9x9 Volleyball Show, the 81 square meters of the best volleyball coverage west of the Atlantic Ocean. My name's Rob St. Clair. That's Everett Rob. Happy holidays. It's Christmas coming up. There's been a moderate amount of volleyball stuff going on in the world, and thanks for rocking with us on a slightly earlier time than usual on the show. Everett, what's up, dude? You want to just jump right into it? We've got
Yeah,
some.
absolutely. I mean, you say that there's a moderate amount of stuff, but we had both the Club World Championships going on this past weekend and the NCAA Final Four. So I don't really know what you're talking about, dude.
Yeah,
it's been a pretty heavy week. You can even
dude.
consider when we started this show. So I don't know what you're on, but let's get into it.
Let's do it. So as Everett just mentioned, Women's Club World Championships wrapped up last week. FIVB beats Conegliano. Now, this would be an even bigger deal if Conegliano hadn't like mysteriously lost to Firenze in Italy a couple weeks ago. Like if the streak had still been intact, could you imagine?
That would have been a crazy. It would have been absolutely massive if
Yeah, that would have been
is
ridiculous.
into the streak. But yeah, you're right. It does take away a little bit of the shine from it. And I mean, the match in general was. We talked last week about how the men's match was one of the best atmospheres for volleyball that we'd seen from a club match in a long time. This one, even better. I mean, no surprise.
Yeah,
Turkey
totally.
playing, a Turkish club playing in Turkey. You knew the fans were going to be nuts. Both on, I'm surprised our YouTube comments aren't already flooded as we're talking about this match. And you could tell too that Vakifbank was just seeping the energy out of the crowd and putting into their game. It was very much a game of the two heavy heaters. It was Agonu versus Hack. Vakifbank going against Kanigli Agonu. I don't know if that worked out, but I tried.
Not quite.
And I mean, Agonu won the one-on-one points battle, as we see here on the screen, 35 points, 34 for 62, but she also had 12 errors in that point, right? Like 12 errors is absolutely, I think she only continued like 6 balls. Like it's something crazy, right? So you could tell that, yeah, you could tell that Vakifbank was just working a little bit better as a team. You had contributions from all positions. Gabby on the outside had a fantastic match. Zara down the middle was there the entire time, and you couldn't really get anyone else on Conegliano going other than Paolo Agonu, right? And that's why I think she incurred so many errors, just because no one else is going. Plummer had an all right match. Sila had a brutal match, and she was really being targeted on serve receive in this entire time. And today, Vakifbank was better, and I think it really sets up something nicely for the Champions League moving forward too.
Yeah, so I agree with a lot of what you just got to there about this match. So as far as Conegliano goes, obviously an issue of theirs is when they don't have absolute peak like god tier Egonu, they struggle a little bit. And like 62 attempts is a huge number, although it's 5 sets. I understand that's just kind of the game they want to play. You're right though about the outside hitter weakness. Actually, Plummer and Sila were in for one another. It was Megan Courtney who started all 5 sets at outside and like barely got set any balls, like attempts. Just let's see. There was not much going on there offensively for anybody. Yeah, Megan Courtney had only
she was
11
clearly
attempts
in there.
in 5 sets.
Yeah, she was clearly in there to be like a second libero, right? Get that ball up, and Vakifbank did a really good job at targeting anyone but Megan Courtney on serve receive.
Yep. So yeah, they were relentlessly going after either Plummer or Sila, whoever was in there. The middles for Conegliano didn't really get all that involved. Having Zara Gunesh back for Vakifbank was a huge deal. Chiako Bogu was awesome. 15 points for a middle is pretty big. 11 for 15, 4 blocks. Vakifbank was much more balanced. They had more sources of points than just their opposite. I think that and the home crowd were a huge part of the difference. And like Conegliano, I think they have an issue where they don't actually know what their true starting lineup is.
Mm-hmm. You're not wrong.
They don't know who their middles are. They don't know because they have so many of them. They have so many good ones. They have Foley, DeCroy. Let's see who else played. Vuchkova is really good. Like they have even Budigin's good. Like, and then they have Sarah Luz Faru tore ACL. Like if she comes back, who knows what happens there? And then outsides, they don't know. Plummer versus Sealer are more similarly like offensive in play style. Courtney, good passer. You really can't rely on her to score all that much. Like what are they going to settle on as far as the starting lineup is concerned? Now, conversely, Vakif Bank knows exactly what their starting lineup is. There's absolutely no questions in those 7 players. And now with Zara Gunesh back, it's even more certain, having her boosting them up in the middle. There's no question at all who the Vakifbank starting 7 is. I think there's definitely something to be said for having a lot of certainty and continuity with your starting 7. That's men's and women's, any league, no matter where you are in the world of volleyball, that helps. And as talented as Caneliano is, having a lot of revolving pieces around Egonu might not always be the best thing. And we'll almost definitely see these two teams go at it again this season. Hopefully it's in the Champions League finals, if they're not on the same side of the bracket as one another. But they're probably going to see each other again, and Vakifbank draws first blood on the year. It's been a while since they've beaten this team.
Yeah, it was the Champions League finals back in 2017. That was the last time they beat them on April 23rd. So it's been a minute, right? It's been a minute since they've played each other. Now you brought up Chiako Bogu. I thought that she was such a emotional pillar for that team, and she brought another level of edge that they've missed before in the past. And she, it seemed like in the past at certain points, Agona would start going for a run, and she would just start teeing off, and no one on Vakifbank could do anything about it. And I feel like Chiako Bogu has that edge where she can bring a team around her and be like, "Hey, let's go. We can stop her. We can slow her down, or we can hit back with our own stuff." And I think that she really made one of the biggest changes on that roster. And I don't know. I think, if you had asked me a few weeks ago who's the Women's Champions League, and I would have said 100% Canigliano, and now after the first loss and this most recent one, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I think it's good for volleyball that Vakifbank won this match. I think the storylines that this creates are really going to be fun, especially as they hopefully play one another again. I love the point you made about Chiako Bogu. I like middles who have that level of energy and that difference making potential where they can come in and totally be a spark. She's an outstanding blocker, very versatile attacker. Jansu Osbe was probably the best setter in this tournament, even though she didn't get that award. But I thought Abogu was awesome. And one of the off-season signings coming over from Rikshasi that we didn't talk about really all that much, but she's made all the difference in the world for Vakifbank. So that was really cool. And that's kind of all I got. This tournament, yeah, the vibe in Ankara was great. It seemed like it was less of a waste of space in the calendar than the men's one was, but
absolutely, I highly rate this one much higher than the men's event.
Still, to the FIVB's credit, somehow they pulled off both tournaments. Both of the on-court products ended up being pretty sick. This match was great, and even the men's finals ended up being really good too. So we clowned on them for why this tournament is run the way it is, but the volleyball it produced ended up being pretty good. So there is that.
You're not wrong. The women's match this weekend was pretty fire.
Yeah, it was tremendous. Speaking of fire women's matches, the University of Wisconsin Badgers win their first NCAA women's volleyball title. This was absolutely nuts. They beat Louisville in five unbelievable sets in the semis. There were 2 plays late in set 4 of that semifinal match of Wisconsin versus Louisville that are 2 of the greatest rallies I've ever seen in any volleyball match anywhere at any level. They were absolutely incredible. Then Nebraska beats Pitt, all Big Ten final. Just look at those set scores. No set was more than 3 points separated, 31-29. In the 5th, Wisconsin went up 7-0. 7-0. And we were all like, it's over. It's over. There's no chance. You don't come back from down 7-0. Nebraska really made it respectable at the end. Dana Retke, who was named the National Player of the Year the night before, absolutely bounced the ball straight down the line to win the championship. Canadian Anna Smrek, was the MVP.
Smrek.
She was incredible, MVP of the tournament. Those 2 blocking next to one another is literally not even fair. And in that championship match, Wisconsin had 24 blocks as a team. 24. That's insane. I don't know if I've ever seen a number that high. Nebraska did such a good job defending and slowing down Dana Retke offensively, but they couldn't stop her from having, I think, 8 blocks individually, I think was what I saw, which is unbelievable. And a lot of them came in that run in the 5th that got them up by 7 early. So we've been hyping up the NCAA women's volleyball tournament the last couple weeks on the show, and oh my goodness, did it deliver.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a massive match. Obviously a big shout out to Ontario native Anna Schreck. She is a freshman playing for Wisconsin, first Canadian player to win the most outstanding award since Sarah Pavin. I don't know if you guys ever heard of her. Heard she's pretty decent. So a massive result for Wisconsin. It did seem like a bit of manifest destiny almost that they'd been so close so many times. They've been so good for so long, and just has one of those Big Ten teams that hadn't won it. I mean, the last time a Big Ten team won the NCAA, it was Nebraska back in 2017, right? So it seemed like they deserved it, and of course for Dana Rettke to sign off her career in that way was storybook ending, right?
Really, really
It
was, really was storybook.
Obviously, I want to go back to Schmeck just for a second. She really earned that most outstanding player of the tournament award in those last two games. 20 points, 20 kills, in that semifinal against Louisville. 20 for 27. She had a 704, which is absolutely insane.
Get out of here.
Just incredible. And then another 14 kills. She actually led the match in the final. So a huge result for her. But if for those around Ontario volleyball, we've all known who she was, right? Coming from the Defensive Volleyball Club, which is hands down one of the most quality clubs we have, not only in Ontario, but all of Canada. I mean, I watched this girl play in Ontario provincial final as a 14U for the 18U team, right? And the way she moved, she was a former ballerina, right? So the way she moved on the court, I hadn't seen, boys her size move that way, right? And I still remember one time watching her get ready and serve receive, and she was as low as the libero. And I'm like, that's just not natural for someone who's 14 years old and 6'7". So I really want to see her, like let's put her on the Canadian national team roster now. Like, she's in the program. She's represented Canada at the junior level. She helped Canada qualify for the 2019 Junior World Championships. So it was the first time that our women's program had ever done that. I want to see her at Nations League, right? Let's put her beside Jen Cross. Let's put her beside the rest of the girls. Like, coach, let's get her in, because this kind of talent, we can't just we can't wait for them to come to us. We need to go to them now and put her on the national team right away. That's what the European countries do, right? How often look at Micheletto, 18 years old, leading the national team, right? She's talented, she's good. Let's put her on the national team right away.
Yeah, put her in and just see what happens. It's exactly what happened with Micheletto. I think that Team USA was extremely averse to doing that until Taylor Sander came around and was unbelievable, like his first year out of college. So I mean, Schmeck's
Micah Christensen as well.
Micah Christensen before he was even done with college. Like, that is now kind of how you find your next superstars, is by taking young kids with unbelievable potential, putting them out on the senior national team, and just kind of seeing what happens. And like, if it doesn't go phenomenally well, you don't bail on them by any means, but sometimes you strike gold. And Micheletto is the great most recent example of that, for sure, for Italy. Yeah, there's no reason not to put Schmeck on the national team right now. And I agree with the same thing for Dana Rettke. She's obviously much older, 22, 23 or so. Mm-hmm. I'm very, very curious to see where she goes in her career. There's a chance that this has been rumored the last couple of weeks. I'm waiting to see if any of these signings are confirmed. But some of these superstars coming out of the NCAA now are getting signed to go over to Europe now. Some of these teams are trying to bolster. Yeah, some of these teams are trying to bolster their rosters mid-season. They're taking girls that are just finishing NCAA, like Mac May of UCLA, Danny Drews, Utah, Dana Rettke, Wisconsin. Like, those girls could very easily be on the move to Europe, like this week or next week, like in the early new year, hopping on a European team that needs just something else to maybe get to a playoff push or whatever the case may be. That, don't be at all surprised if you see some of these girls, like maybe a lot of them like organize their academic schedules around graduating in December, so they wrap everything up like at the same time as season. But even if not, don't be surprised if you see some of these top level NCAA players go to Europe immediately, and we'll see if they make some immediate contributions. But on the national team scale, I couldn't agree more. Put Schmeck on the Canadian national team. Put Dana Rettke on the American national team. It would be crazy not to do that.
For me, it's the same thing that we did with Schwan Vernon Evans, right? And when you see there's always guys, and I mean, people don't really remember this with him, but he scored more points for the senior national team than he did with the junior national team in the same calendar year, like weeks apart, right? In his first VNL back in 2017. And, when he moved up, there was a guy, Tariq Sandy, who was able to come in and fill his spot for the junior national team. So you're always going to be able to find guys at that age. But when you have someone who's as physically gifted as she is, you need to put her on the national team now because she just needs to get those game reps. But you're telling me that she can step on for Team Canada right now and make a valuable contribution? I absolutely think she can. Now,
She totally
Rob,
can.
one more question for you on the topic of the NCAA women's championships. Another year goes by where we've seen, just a massive championship. The place was sold out. Basically 19,000 people in Columbus watching the game. Obviously, we don't know the numbers yet coming out of ESPN, but I'm guessing that they're going to be massive once again, especially after the USA women won in Tokyo this year. Like, when is this going to happen that this is going to start creating something bigger for the sport of volleyball? Because year after year we see that the NCAA tournament is one of the biggest. I know a few years ago women's volleyball was the third most watched sport on the Big Ten network. So like, when are people going to start to clue in?
Still is. Well, that's the age-old question. I don't have an answer. If I had an answer, that all of our problems would be solved about why can't we put 19,000 people for a volleyball match all the time? Why does it just have to be the NCAA final? Now that it has helped for the Final Four around the fact that the AVCA convention is held in conjunction with that tournament. So that really helps. It's the American Volleyball Coaches Association. Literally every top level coach from every college program, men's and women's, all converges on that city for that weekend. So every one of them is already there. They're all going to the match. So it was in Columbus this time. They did a phenomenal job producing that event. So they have an easier time putting butts in seats at that event than any other because you already have the entire volleyball world in the same place. However, just in terms of like broad national interest, you're absolutely right. The American women win Olympic gold. They have 19,000 people in the house for the NCAA championship the same year. The success of it on TV, just the everything about the way that it was produced in the house there and on the broadcast was just it was spectacular. It was absolutely wonderful. It was like a glimpse into what maybe like the sport of volleyball in a North American broadcasting sense could potentially be. Now, I have no idea if that momentum is going to carry on or if it's going to fizzle out over the new year and everyone's going to forget that volleyball happened until next like December for next women's tournament or next Olympics even. I have no idea, but it really is promising what they were able to do last week with this event. But I am pessimistic of its of the continuance of that momentum, even as like Athletes Unlimited is going to pull some of these girls to play in their league in the late winter, early spring. There's another professional women's league starting up called League One Volleyball. I have no idea really much about that. The VLA is getting started in January, which we'll talk about in the next couple of weeks. And all of that, I have no idea if it's actually going to be able to capitalize on the momentum that this tournament created. Certainly ESPN won't bite on any of these other things. I don't know what the broadcast situations are with like Athletes Unlimited or League One or whatever, but nobody else will do it quite like it was done just now for the NCAA tournament, and that is a shame. I hope that we can get back there soon, I guess.
You're not wrong. But then again, like as you mentioned, all of those things, like it is somewhat kind of like a Wild West time for volleyball in North America, right? Like there's all of these little startups that are trying to get going. Obviously, on the women's side, there's a little bit more support than on the men's side. But like something's got to take at some point. Like I think we're starting to see those numbers. The fact that there's the MVA, the VLA, Athletes Unlimited, League One. There's things are starting to move. So I think that there's reasons to be optimistic here. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I definitely think so from the VLA perspective. I have a lot of insider reason to be optimistic, and we can get into that in the next couple of weeks. But as for like immediately expecting to put 19,000 people into the arena for one of those other matches in one of those other situations, I don't see that happening anytime soon. But hopefully volleyball has reached the radar of more American and Canadian sports fans because of the NCAA this week. Hopefully that is true. And if it is, then it's just good for the game. Top to bottom.
Not wrong. Can maybe at the end of the show we can talk a little bit about the most recent VLA news that came out? recently.
Yes. Yeah, we absolutely should. We'll get to that
Well,
later.
we'll get to that though. Because we did talk about how athletes, these fantastic female athletes, are going to be going to play professionally overseas. Do you think that some Italian league teams are wishing that was the same thing for the men right now? Because there's some things happening in Italy. We're going to jump over to Italy now.
Let's jump over to Italy.
First, we can start by talking about Lube getting absolutely stomped on by a Matt Anderson-less Perugia this weekend. And I mean, Lube was missing Guantarena. They were missing Lucarelli, who had to leave the game in the third set with what I guess is a thigh injury.
I heard it was a bicep tear.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I heard it was something upper body. He's not going to have surgery, but they have no timetable on like if he's going to return or if he's going to be able to play. Yeah, it was funny. We said on this show last week, like, watch out, guys. Perugia's playing Lube this weekend. They're both at full strength. Nobody has any excuses. Of course, promptly they are not at full strength, and there are absolutely some excuses. However, like if you take Perugia and you remove Matt Anderson and Kamil Rykliski, you get exactly the same team they had last year with just a better setter. And I'm not going to discount the difference that Simone Giannelli makes over Dragan Travica, because that is literally night and day. But look at that Wilfredo Leon stat line. 27 for 36, only one error. That's 722 efficiency. And he didn't even have any blocks or aces. He didn't have one of his classic Wilfredo Leon serving days. But in a game where his team needed him to be the guy offensively, he was so much better than everybody else. It's like he's not even playing the same game. What he's able to do on the left and out of the back row are just otherworldly things. He hits the ball so much higher, so much harder, so much more range, just so much better than everybody else in the world. And nobody can stop him. That a team as good as Lube Civitanova, who is a championship contender in both Italy and Champions League, literally has no answer for him. He hit over 700. That's absurd.
Yeah, and I mean, you did bring up Simone Giannelli, and I think maybe that's why. Like, and if you look at it, as you mentioned, the exact same team, pretty much. The only difference is the setter, but they hit 60% as a team. They're hitting 600 as a team, right? 75% hitting percentage for Leon. Another 75% for Sebastian Solé, who went 12 for 16 on the day and added 4 blocks, right? Like, Giannelli was the worst percentage of the team, going 1 for 3 in dumps, right? So only three blocks and 4 errors on the entire day for Perugia, right? That's as many errors as Lube made, not even including blocks. So it was just a masterful performance. Like, Lube had the ability to push back a little bit right at the end of that third set, and that's why it went 4. But realistically, Lube was never in this match at any point.
No, they weren't. Also, Wilfredo Leon was their best passer. What was he, like 84% positive, 47% perfect? Like, get out of here with that. That used to be his weakness. He doesn't have any weaknesses anymore. Like, come on. What are you supposed to do against
it did seem to me that Lube just couldn't put any pressure on. And I mean, if you look at the points, like, Yant led the scoring with 15 points total. Ivan Zaitsev is probably the most complete game we've seen from Zaitsev in a long time with 14 points. He was not the Zaitsev of old. Like, he's lacking his explosion, lacking any tenacity in his game. So it was just a flat performance all around by Lube.
Yeah, and they have, especially with Lucarelli's injury, because when Lucarelli got injured and Monterrey didn't play, Jiri Kovar came in and was just useless. And and as good as Marlon Yant has been, if they lose another outside hitter, they are in very deep trouble unless they convince Zaitsev to switch back to the left, or if they can get Juantorena back. I don't know. I'm not looking at the chat right now, Ronnie, or does anyone know exactly the nature of Juantorena's injury? I understand it's a back injury.
Tommy says biceps for Lucarelli, yes.
Okay.
So for Juantorena? No, well, we don't. I'm not sure off the top my head.
I think for Juantorena it's a back injury, but they are, and that is one of the oldest average age teams in the SuperLega, as well as Lube. Like, Simone, like 34, to Checo about the same age. Juantorena is like 36. Like, that is not a young team. Anzani's not even that young. Lucarelli is almost 30. Zaitsev is not young at all. Like, they are in trouble if they can't get healthy, and it, like, they've been able to survive just fine with Gabby Garcia and Marlon Yant in the starting lineup. But if they lose Lucarelli and they can't get Juantorena back, that they are in very, very deep trouble, and that contributes to the standings in Italy, which now, after we've finally seen most of the teams catch up to playing all the games they've had to play despite a couple COVID cancellations, you see there Perugia at the top. They're 2 wins and a full 6 points better than Lube in second place, and Perugia has just established themselves as the class of the league, and that they've done even that last match, even without Matt Anderson and Camille Rikliski. So watch out. I think they might be in a tier of their own as we transition into talking about tiers a little bit later.
Yeah, no, the depth of Perugia right now is it's not compared, right? They could probably field an entire second team and still be one of the top teams in the world, and that is with Tragica setting as well. So, I think that says a lot. So yeah, like Perugia is just on another cliff right now. I mean, I think Modena obviously is their right back. They're right back in it. I think they've just won their 15th in a row. Not a huge match against Padova, but does anyone even challenge Perugia right now? I really don't know. This weekend's match was slated to be one of the biggest matches. It's the last match of, we're at that halfway point, and really, like, at that halfway point, it looks like it's a wholly Perugia show at the moment.
Yeah, agreed. And it's pretty tight, the rest of the league. We'll get to like kind of ranking our evaluations of these teams in a couple minutes. I'm looking at the chat really quick. If you're listening on audio form, make sure you tune in live on YouTube. Usually Tuesdays. We're moving some things around slightly because of the holidays. Seth saying Wantaran is thinking of coming back soon. He doesn't want to make his injury worse, but he knows he can't keep sitting on the bench. He's certainly right about that. Too bad Zaitsev doesn't want to play on the left. I know he doesn't want to, but there's a chance that he might have to. I would rather have him on the left and Gabby on the right than have Jiri Kovar playing in the starting role. I mean, they can just feed Robert Landy Simone every conceivable ball, and you better believe Chicheko wants to do that. But really, as high as I was on Lube a couple weeks ago, if they keep dealing with these injury issues, they may not be the title contender I thought they were.
I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, but for them, the question for me, you can rest some of these guys, right? Can you stay in that second or third spot? Right. And I think that's truly what needs to happen, right? If you need to drop into third and let Modena take second, I think that's fine.
Fine. Do not want to drop into fourth.
You don't want to drop into fourth because then you have Perugia in the semis, but like that's really is the question to me. Like, with Gabi Garcia and Yant on the floor, missing some of these guys, can they beat Trentino? Can they beat Monza? Can they beat Piacenza? And that, to me, is going to be the deciding factor, I guess, how quickly they try to bring some of these guys back.
Yeah, and so far this season they have. Except it's been with Lucarelli and Yant and Gabi, or whatever the combination has been. But they've been tested by a couple of the almost elite tier teams, and they have played pretty well, other than Perugia and other than that one Modena match. Lube's obviously been very, very good. But yeah, coming down the stretch, like the second half of the season, it's going to be about, can they stay in that top three? Because like you said, you do not want to be in fourth. You don't want to be playing Perugia any earlier than the finals if you're one of those elite caliber teams.
Yeah. Unless you want to drop down to like sixth and seventh.
Yeah, but you don't really want to do that either.
Yeah, you really don't want to go there either. But yeah, very, very interesting result this weekend. And I mean, I think once we see Lube at full force, it's going to be a different story, but who knows if we're going to get there.
Right. All right, let's hit a couple other things in the volleyball world before we dive into some more SuperLega. One thing, Gabriele Nelli to Vibo Valencia. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? He hasn't even really seen the floor in Cannes this year. He's another transfer from Cannes to Vibo.
What is the SuperLega doing? Where we're just like, I have a hole on my team. Let's just go fill it with the athletes on the worst team right now in Liga. Like, what are we doing? This doesn't happen, like.
I don't know, dude. Now, Khan's been bad, but Nelly hasn't played that much. So I don't know if he's back healthy enough to come back home to Italy and play. I have no idea. If he can, I know some of our Italian friends in the chat, Tommy in particular, that they've evaluated Gabriele Nelli as one of the most overrated players in Italian history, at least in the last 10 or 15 years. And he will come back to Italy. He won't count against the foreigner limit. That's a luxury for Viva Valencia. They're just trying not to get relegated. I assume he'll be able to at least help with that a little bit, but I really just don't understand this move fundamentally. It just doesn't like who cares? What's going on here? Why are we going out and making all these mid-season transfers for these like C or D tier players back to Italy? I don't really get it.
Like, couldn't they have gone to go get someone like Maurice Karlichek, who's having a fantastic year so far at Set?
Bring him
Like,
back to Italy. Like
there's
he belongs in Italy.
there's
Yeah.
guys out there who could use contracts.
Bring
And
Kevin Tilley back to Italy.
yeah, absolutely. You know, having a pretty good year at Tools, but like, I just I maybe it has something to do with contracts, like you can't release certain players and stuff like that. But yeah, just some weird signings right now in the Italian league.
Well, who knows? So we brushed briefly on cancellations or postponements in the Italian league. That is common across all of volleyball and really across all of sports right now. There's a big time wave of COVID going around. Everyone knows it. I think the NHL just postponed the season for like half a week in hockey here in the States and in Canada. The entire Berlin recycling volleys team is in quarantine right now. They the German Cup was supposed to happen. What was it today?
Yeah, it was supposed to happen today against Fruchthof, and it got cut because of COVID. Everyone's in.
Yeah, so it's becoming a very, very concerning problem across volleyball. The Italian league is scrambling with their schedule to figure out how to reschedule matches. They respond to outbreaks within teams. It's kind of a disaster. So I don't really have any takes on this. We just have to inform people that just because you think a match is happening, you better be ready to be flexible because the schedules are very, very liquid right about now.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see Stephen Marr at all for just this past weekend. You know, my guess is that he's probably has tested positive. I know that Alexa Gray has tested positive as well for Busto. I mean, first and
Matt
foremost,
Anderson, yep.
Yeah, first and foremost, I think our thoughts need to go to these players. I mean, at the end of the day, regardless of what this virus is, it is still the virus, and it still is killing people out there. So our first and foremost, our thoughts are, safety and good health to all of our athletes. But I mean, are we going to see another pause? I don't know. I really hope not. I'd really not hope not to see a shutdown of everything. But I mean, obviously that's not my call.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll monitor it for you guys, but yeah, it's concerning. The numbers are bad. The cancellations are bad. I don't like seeing it. I want to watch volleyball. I want people to be able to play volleyball. I want people to be able to watch volleyball, and that is really being threatened right about now. Just is the way it is. All right, what should we jump to next? Is it time? Is it time for the meme of the century?
I think it's the time for the meme of the century.
Oh,
I think we are going to be jumping on the tier list fad or trend, if you will, that is going sweeping YouTube. And now, just so you guys can understand, our inspiration for this tier list was provided by our own Ronnie Cuban Spike. I'm pretty sure you can go check out his YouTube channel as well. He posted this in the Discord. It is in Spanish, but basically you can figure it out yourself. The tiers are thanks for participating, mega teams, hyper teams, super teams, and ultra teams. So that jump is a little dramatic and a little drastic, but hey, we're running with it.
So funny. I mean, yeah, so Ronnie made this for the men's CEV Cup teams, and he chose to classify them in these tiers. It showed up in the Discord, and we just couldn't get enough of it. It's so funny. Just the jump from thanks for participating to mega. Like, also this list in particular, I have a lot of complaints with. He clearly weights teams that have Cubans on them a little bit higher than maybe they belong. A couple teams that are ranked way lower than they belong, but really that's not the point. I just thought it was so funny to go from thanks for participating at the lowest tier to mega, then hyper, super, ultra, which, like, who knows what that order actually means.
No distinction between those.
Absolutely none. And it's so funny, and I just can't get enough of it. And the Discord has really had a great time with assigning, just arbitrary tiers to these things. Two Jacks in the chat right now gets all the credit in the world for the emoji of the cookie assigned to thanks for participating, as in thanks for participating, here's a cookie, now get out. And so that So that brings us to this. We would like to apply the Cuban Spike tier list, ultra, super, hyper, mega, and thanks for participating to a couple different volleyball leagues or competitions. We'll do the Italian Super League and we'll do Men's Champions League. Everett and I will assign our the Cuban Spike tier list to those two competitions. I had quite.
Where are we starting here?
Let's start in Italy because I think it'll be easier. But I
Fair
think
enough.
I tried to arbitrarily, or not so arbitrarily. I thought very hard about what the emojis were going to be for these other teams. Mega, like the boxing glove, as in like could both do the punching or be getting punched depending on the situation.
Okay.
Hyper, like the cloud, like the gust of wind, as in hyper, as in fast, as in good, or hyper
Mhm.
as in fast, like running out of the placings, the standings. I don't know. Super, just strong, and ultra with the star. I don't know. But thanks for participating with the cookie is clearly the best one.
Clearly, maybe that one will be the only one we keep, and then from then on, we might tinker with the other ones.
Yeah, oh yeah. Come to the Discord. We can really iron out what the rest of these emojis are going to be, but the cookie's definitely going to stick. So back to the Italian list. You can see that the ordering of the standings right here. Everett, I think we will be on the same page, and there's one special team that really has a tier that you could basically name after them, and that is Ravena. And I made the joke today in the Discord that they may even need a tier that's below. Thanks for participating. They need to, they might need to be in kick a garbage can tier. Regardless, I think there's a special spot reserved for Ravena, the most surefire relegation team in the standings by far. They are a fat 0-12, and unfortunately, I'm commentating two of their matches in the next like 3 weeks. So
Awesome.
that will be brutal. But
But
do you?
the bonus if you commentate their matches is the fact that you know it's going to be a short match, right?
Yep, that's
You
right.
know that they're probably going to get taken to town in three. And it can just kind of you can just dust your hands off and you can join us on Discord to watch the other matches of that day,
Love that.
right? So hey, there's a silver lining in anything. But yeah, absolutely. Ravena is down there. They're an absolute dumpster fire this year. We know that they weren't even supposed to have a team, and somehow they, Frankenstein a team together with some mediocre A2 talent, basically. And yeah, I mean, the fact that Vibo, who's been brutal this year, has 3 wins, and Verona, who's been brutal this year, has 3 wins, and Toronto, who's coming up from A2, has 3 wins as well. Just really shows how much of a dumpster fire Ravena has been. Now, my question is, do you really think that they're in a league of their own? Because
Yes, yes, I do. I
okay,
really, really do think they're in a league of their own. I think the second team that gets relegated, whoever it ends up being, I will be sad for that team to be relegated. I think those couple teams like Toronto, Vibo, Verona that all have 3 wins right now. I think they all have some good things that they do with their teams, some bright spots on their rosters. They've won a couple games. They've showed a little bit of promise. Not Ravena. Ravena has been completely hopeless. Just like as an example, their coach got the rare double card. He got the red and the yellow at the same time in one match, and that means you're suspended for the next match. Uh, Ravena had the option to just pay a fine, and it wasn't that much of a fine. It was
they
like a
did it.
couple. It was a couple €1,000 to pay a little fine and have the coach come back and coach the next game. And they're like, nah.
Nah,
No, we're just
we're gonna
not going
lose
to do that.
anyways.
We're going to lose anyway. We're going to rock without our head coach this next match, and they obviously got 3-0. So that is why, in my opinion, Ravena truly is in a tier of their own. I will give them thanks for participating.
Oh man, you're not wrong. Yeah, they are really bad. And
So bad.
um the next three, I mean, of the next three, if we're gonna jump into the what's the next one? Is it
That would
Mega?
be the
Yeah, the
mega
Mega.
tier.
The there's one team that I think I'm actually pleasantly surprised with, and that would be Toronto. Right?
Agreed.
Becoming like that they're coming in as the new kids on the block. Both Vibo and Verona, I mean, people were expecting them to have big years. Like people were kind of expecting Vibo to be in the third, maybe even the second tier, right? To be punching right there, up there with the people that they brought in with Douglas and Uncle Mo, and of course Eugene Ishida. But they've just been bad this year.
Bad.
Verona has been equally as bad. The only bright spot that they've had has been Rock
Rock
Mozic.
Moses.
I
That team is
do
just not constructed very well. Mads Jensen
no.
is not a SuperLega level opposite. They have absolutely no talent other than Rock Mosic. They pass the ball badly. They block the ball badly. They have a very mediocre setter in Lucas Spirito. I wish they could play Rafael de Oliveira more, and he's in his 40s. They have issues with the foreigner limit there. Yeah, they're a mess, but Rok Mazic is incredible, so I'm not worried about his career. Maybe Verona gets relegated.
I
But
do
I
think
agree
Mads Jensen has been having a better. I think he's been getting better, but I can't have a 7-footer with only 4 blocks halfway into the season.
that is really bad. I never really liked watching him when he was at UCLA. It never made sense to have him at the center position. He's 6'11" and left-handed and has bad hands. Don't make him set. That made no sense. I would like him in like a Germany or maybe even a Poland. Or I think he would be incredible in Germany. I think he'd be very good in France. I don't really think he belongs in Italy at this point in his career.
No.
Nah, he doesn't fit in Poland. Whatever. I am happily surprised with Toronto. I've done a couple of their games commentating. I think they're promising. They've punched above their weight class a little bit. I think they're going to escape relegation. But I think it's those 3 teams, Toronto, Vibo, and Verona, that are in the mega tier. And I think Cisterna, Milano, Padova are just slightly above that. Do you agree?
Yeah, that's exactly what I have as well.
Perfect.
I mean, Cisterna has been a little rocky. They've only got 4 wins. Padova has been a huge surprise this year, although they have been hot and cold. They did get thoroughly throttled by Modena this weekend, though. And I mean, Cisterna was the same thing against Trentino. But then again, they had no Stephen Marr for that one either, and he's been hands down their best player for the majority of the year, right? So, I definitely think it's that next tier. I think, you know what? I'd be very
hyper tier.
Well, sorry, if we go back to the standings real quick there, I do think that what we see here in the standings is pretty much like what we're gonna get. Like I don't see Cisterna having a huge turnaround and jumping into the top 8. I don't see Milano and Padova dropping it anymore. I mean, I could be wrong, but I just don't see it. And then on top of that, like you want to talk about the hyper tier. The hyper tier is the next one: Piacenza, Monza, and Trentino. And once again, like there's 3.
That would be the super tier.
Sorry, the super tier. We're on the hyper tier.
How dare you get confused by this arbitrary tier list?
Yeah, my bad. Clearly,
the thing I want to point out about Milano is that they've only played 10 matches and they're still tied in points with Padova, who's played 12. So Milano has a COVID situation in their team right now. So does Piacenza. So that's why they both had a couple matches postponed the last couple weeks. So that might shuffle things around a little bit towards the bottom of like the playoff seedings. But I definitely agree. I think Cisterna, Milano, Padova are in a tier together. I think that would be the hyper tier. And then one tier above that, Piacenza, Monza, and I would put Trentino together in the super tier, which then leaves only the top 3 for the hyper tier, or sorry, the ultra tier. God, I got it wrong too. Come on, Ronnie. Why couldn't you make this more clear, man?
Oh, I think this may be the only show that we stick with this one. We'll maybe have to revamp it a little bit. Don't worry, Ronnie will invite you in. We'll have a bit of a round table.
So funny though.
We'll get some, input from everyone in the Discord. But yeah, you're absolutely right. The way I see it is that there's 3 teams who really have a shot at the title. There's Perugia, Lube, and Modena. We've talked about two of them quite a bit today. Modena, we've talked about quite a bit in weeks past. I don't think we really need to get into that. We know that they're good. We know why they're good. And if you're listening to this one for the first time, just go back and watch other episodes and educate yourself a little bit. The next tier is those teams that are in view. Like if they could sneak through, they might be able to do some damage. They could upset a team, find themselves in the final, have an outside chance maybe of winning the Scudetto, but that's about it. And then after that, it's just guys who are trying to teams who are trying to stay alive. Maybe
teams are trying to make the playoffs. Teams are trying not to get relegated. Yeah, the way I look at that, what's the second tier called? Super tier. So like the Trentino, Monza, Piacenza tier. The way I look at that is they can beat those top 3 teams in like one random match every so often. But if you put them in a best of 5 series, like you're going to see in the playoffs, no chance.
Trentino maybe. Trentino, maybe.
I don't think Trentino can beat any of those 3 top teams in a best 3 out of 5 series. I don't see it. I think they can beat him in one match,
Trentino
maybe even 2.
Taking down Lube, because like both Lube and Modena, they have their depth isn't there, right? Modena even much less than Lube,
It's
right? Like
true.
at least
Modna's got a
Lube
depth
has
problem for sure.
at least Lube has Gabby Garcia and Marlon Yant to go to. Modena has none of that. Like who are they?
That's
Martin
true.
Van Garderen, like you know,
Great
like
point. That's a good
that's
point.
absolutely nothing, right? So either those teams they get injured, and you have to go up against an upstart Micheleto and Lavia, and a somehow rejuvenated Matej Kaczynski, in the semifinals, maybe. Then like, hey, then there could be some issues there. But yeah, if those teams are healthy and firing on even at like 90%. Right, like I'm not going to say 80% because I don't think an 80% Lube is going to beat a 100% Trentino, but like a 90, I think a 90% could do it.
Okay, well, we'll have to see when the playoffs roll around. But yeah, I think Monza and Piacenza, and I will still put Trentino in that group where they can beat those top three in a match, maybe two. I don't see them doing it in the playoffs, and that really is about it. I think you and I are exactly on the same page with our tiers for the Italian league because it really does line up with the way the standings are right now.
Yeah, pretty much. To be honest, I don't know if we're gonna have much different on either one of these ones. I think next time we do a tier list, we have to do something that's like a little bit arbitrary so that we can have some controversy.
Okay, well, we'll see how this one goes. So we got Men's Champions League, and I don't even have anything written down for this. I'm kind of just gonna wing it as far as who I put in what tier. Let's start at the top.
Okay.
Out of the 20 teams in the fourth round of Champions League, who do you have in the ultra tier, the like legitimate title contenders, and how many teams do you have in that top tier?
I've only got 3 teams.
Okay.
We got Perugia, no shit. Lube, duh, and Zaxa. That's all I've
Okay.
got. How about you?
Okay. I've got Lube, Perugia, and Zaxa, but I also will reach and include Dinamo Moscow in there.
Ooh,
And
okay.
I think the Dinamo Moscow could win this tournament. It just depends on the matchups they get. It depends on if they have everybody playing at the time. But I mean that lineup. I mean, come on, Sokolov, Bogdan Podlesnik, Pankov, Kerminen at libero, like 2 7-footers in the middle, like that. That's pretty sick. That team is unbelievable. And I even thought about putting Zenit St. Petersburg in this tier. I didn't because we still Victor Poletayev is just starting to come back from injury. Yeah. If they have him fully and they can put Kliuka on the left where he belongs, they could be an ultra tier team, but I still don't have them there yet because I think Tina Earnout this year has been bad. If he plays a little bit better, I think that would help. But Yakovlev's incredible, Kobzar, like that team is good. But my ultra tier, my truly top tier in Champions League is Perugia. I think is my personal number one. Yeah, they're my number one favorite right now. I would be very surprised if they didn't win this tournament. Zaxa is in that elite tier, even with the offseason that they had. I still put Lube in there, even with a little bit of the injury concerns. And then I include Dinamo Moscow in that top tier. I think their pool is competitive, but they got past Warsaw. I believe they'll get past Ankara. They'll beat them twice. I think they will get a good seed. I think we could see them in the finals. That's very possible.
Really? Okay. I mean, I'll give it to them that their pool is competitive, but there's no real threats to them. Like I don't see Ankara or Warsaw and let alone Masaik taking a shot at them. You know what? If it was last year's Dinamo Moscow and the magic that they had and how good they were, especially early in the season, the only thing that really was a tarnish on their record early on was that one loss to Trentino trying to get into the Champions League.
Right. Second round. That's right.
Like, second or third or third round. Then I would agree with that, but I just haven't seen the same magic to Dinamo Moscow. And I mean, granted, I haven't watched that much of them. It seems like I ended up watching a lot of them last year, especially a lot of matchups against Zenit St. Petersburg. But yeah, Dinamo Moscow, I just haven't really seen it. And the same thing with St. Petersburg. I mean, exactly as you said, Poletayev, not only is the I'm unsure about him coming back healthy. I've never really seen Poletayev kind of be the player that everyone touts him to be, right? Like I've never like he's had like he's in my books he's very much like a Ben Patch, Shawan Vernon Evans type of athlete where that
really
is so high, but the bottom end is real low too, and that there's these holes in his games that people can kind of pinpoint. You know, he's definitely no Mikhailov incarnate,
Well, no, no.
And I just don't. So I think out of system he's not that great. I think blocking wise he's not that fantastic, and so I'm still unsure of Poletayev being a top level, like a top tier superstar in this sport.
I don't agree with that at all. I think Victor Politayev is clearly a top 10 opposite in the world when healthy.
Top
Like,
10, but like I'm talking about like like you're talking about like putting him in that ultra tier alongside like some of the best guys, and it's
it's
not like
because of what the rest of their team looks like with him in. If you put Kliuka back on the left where he belongs, there you go. He's one of the best in the world. You've got
yeah, but
even Yakovlev in the middle. I think he's top three. I don't remember who. I think Ilya Vlasov is their other middle. No, Vlasov's on Dynamo Moscow. I don't remember. Somebody tell me who St. Petersburg's second middle is.
I actually have their roster up right here. I forgot about that.
They're insane.
Pashtishki.
Oh, Pashitsky's good. He's a good player.
Don't
Center
get me wrong.
Kozar, good player.
I think that all of it together, but I just don't really see Poletayev. Like I don't see him in that top 5 of opposites. Top 10, yes.
I don't think he's top 5. I think he would go to the Italian league and be the second or maybe even third or fourth best opposite in the league. I think Namir's got him. I think August Lagumzha's got him, but I think he's probably about where Yurgi Grozer is at this point in his career. And in terms of Italy, oh sure,
no,
absolutely, yeah.
Do not slander Grozer that way. Really, I would
right now.
I would take. Oh man, Grozer has been having a career. Like we can pull up the stats even.
Poletayev hasn't played. I would put a healthy Poletayev in. Like I think he is a drop-in replacement for Yurgi Groz's production right now. I really do.
Feel like Poletayev has never had the consistent production that Yurgi Grozers have. Like never. And I mean, you're gonna slander Grozer right now, who is leading the SuperLega in points.
I'm not slandering him.
At 234 and averaging 4.68 points per set. Like
his team's not as good. The rest of his team's not as good. They need him to score like that. Like Legum's just better than him. Namir's better than him. I'm jury's still out on Zaitsev right now.
I mean,
being better than him.
I don't disagree with any of those except for maybe Zaitsev because
I think Jean Patry's better than Grozer. Come on.
I don't know about that. I really don't know about that. This turned into an interesting like this. But yeah, I definitely think Poletayev has always been a little bit overrated.
Well, I think comparing him to Ben Patch and Shawan Vernon Evans is absolutely insulting. I really do. So
I feel as though if he was not Russian, right, and had like a direct impact, like I think that he would struggle in other places, especially with consistency.
I don't. I think he has the opposite problem. I think that he would be an absolute superstar, and everyone would think he's top 5 in the world if it weren't for Maxim Mikhailov existing. If it weren't for him being on the Mount Rushmore of all-time volleyball players in the last 5 years, Poletayev would have had that spot, and he would have locked it down, and we would all be talking about him all the time. That's my take on that. But let's jump back into Champions League because we've got a lot more tiers to get to. So if your ultra tier includes only Lube, Zaxa, and Perugia, then who's just below that? Who's a super tier in Champions
So
League?
then I've got obviously got Moscow and St. Petersburg. Basically, I call this one like the best of the rest. We got Trentino, Moscow, St. Petersburg, Novosibirsk as well, who started the season super strong. They've kind of come off since then. And my big maybe in who I put in this tier is where do I put JW? Right? Like where do I put
about to ask like that.
Where do I put Jessica Weigel? And like literally like right now in my notes I kind of have Jessica Weigel in the middle of the two. But you know what? I haven't really seen a lot from them other than that one win against Zaxa early in the season. I really haven't seen a lot from them that tells me that they can even make a semifinal of the Champions League. So I'm going to move them down into the third tier, whatever it is, the hyper tier. Yeah.
Interesting. I'm gonna keep them in super tier in that second to the top tier only because of how easy their pool is, and because I think they're absolutely guaranteed to win that pool. They will get a better matchup in the first round of Champions League because that's the way it works. They take the 4 top ranked because 5 teams get first, right? You take the 4 best ones and you draw them randomly, and then their opponents will be that one, like the lowest ranked first place team, and then the 3 other second place teams. So if you're one of those top 4 first place teams, which JW will be because their pool is so bad, you get an easier first round matchup I think that we will see JW in the semifinals of Champions League, and it doesn't mean that they're one of the 4 best teams in Europe. It means the tournament format kind of favors them, and that's why I have them in that tier. But I agree. That's where I have Zenit St. Petersburg right now. It's where I have Trentino. I do not have Novosibirsk there, and Novosibirsk is down a level in my opinion.
Oh, so you're going to rate Novosibirsk lower than JW? I'm against
Absolutely.
that. I'm against that for sure. What I would really love to see is that you're right. JW is going to win their pool. I think I want to see, like, I'm looking at the second placers right now, and I'd love to see like a JW against Berlin. Like that to me, I think would be a super interesting matchup, but between those teams, because I think it would be a toss up. I don't think it would be as close or as much of a domination from JW as others think.
I would like to see that as well, and I think that Berlin is pretty clearly going to get second place in that pool. The other teams are just so bad. They've already beaten them both like pretty easily once. They'll do it again. Who knows how they come up against ZSP? I think they'll get second. I think they'll make it out in the 4th round. Yeah, I could very much see that matchup if we get that draw, or if it works out that way. I think that would be probably the most competitive of those first round battles that we could see if it came out that way. And Berlin, speaking of which, is in my next tier of teams. They're in that 3rd tier, the hyper tier. Agreed. according to Ronnie. That's where I put Berlin. That's where I put Ziraat Bankasa Ankara.
Yep.
Who I was really impressed by. I commentated their game when they beat Warsaw the other day on the road. That was also very, very impressive.
Real quick, maybe we needed to redo one of these tier lists for jerseys, because Ankara's jerseys are top notch. They might be the best jerseys in volleyball. The design on them is a little bit different, like that wet red and white, almost like snowflake pattern. It looks good. Top-notch jerseys by Ziraat Bankasi Ankara over there. Sorry,
those are good-looking jerseys. I completely agree. Even though Ankara beat Warsaw head-to-head, and Warszawa's 0-2, and they might be dead, I still put Warsaw in that 3rd tier as well. I put Novosibirsk in this tier, and I also put Fenerbahce in this tier.
Same as me. Berlin, Ankara, Warsaw, Fenerbahce, JW. Are all on this 3rd for me. Okay. Teams that are good, and are good, solid teams, top 15 teams in the world, definitely, but they're not going to be. They don't have that ability to kind of go for the championship.
Agreed. So one down from that is the mega tier, which is just one tier above thanks for participating. Mm-hmm. And the line here gets kind of blurry. I think it might help to just go straight to thanks for participating tier, because then I think we could just
then we can come back up to talk to the mega ones. Yeah, absolutely.
Khan is definitely a thanks for participating team. I think both Benfica and Novi Sad are both thanks for participating teams. I think, let's see,
I've got Maribor as well.
Maribor is definitely a thanks for participating team, and then those last couple get a little weird. Like, where do I put Masaic, Nakru Solare, like Hebar Pezardzik beat Friedrichshafen last week.
That's exactly what I've got in the 4th tier. Mega, there we go, the punching tier. I've got Hebar, Masaic, Roselair, and Friedrichshafen. And I mean, Friedrichshafen is a team that in most years is kind of in the ultra or super tiers, right? Whereas now, like, they're just having a bad year and are not doing very, very good. I think they're in 4th in the Bundesliga at the moment, right? So they're kind of down in that 4th tier, but Hebar's already gotten wins. Masaic and Roselair are 2 of those teams that have constantly been there for however many years. I guess Masaic did miss out on the championship last year because they didn't qualify for the first time in many years. But yeah, like I have it the same way. Hebar, Masaic, Roselair, Friedrichshafen in that 4th tier. Maribor, Novi Sad, Cons, Benfica. Grab a cookie on the way out. Thanks for
Thanks for participating. Okay, I think what we should do is I'll make us graphics for both of our tier lists for Champions League. We can put them out on Instagram and see who.
That's a good way. That's a good way to do it. I really like that a lot, actually.
See which of us has the better tier list for now. So thanks for sitting through that. That's kind of fun. We just wanted to spotlight the hysterically funny tier list that Ronnie came up with the one time and apply them to some of the best competitions in volleyball for really no reason. Great stuff.
Yeah, good job, Ronnie. Thanks for coming up with that. Can we, honestly, Ronnie, you need to come on and we're gonna pick your brain of how you divided those tiers.
Oh, so funny. All right.
So funny because
Well,
it's so old at this point, it still makes us laugh this much.
yeah, that's probably my favorite meme in Discord history. Speaking of the Discord, if you're not already in our legendary volleyball group chat that just talks about this ridiculous stuff all the time, the link is in the description of this YouTube video. Come join us. Come spam spicy hot pepper emojis in the chat and embrace all the memes. It's really, really just my favorite thing ever, that chat. So come hop in there and join us and make fun of how Everett and I spam the chat about this show.
We're getting up there. Like we're coming in on 250 people.
Not bad. I love it.
Not bad at all. So
I want more of those people to actively participate so we can give them a thanks for participating cookie.
This is true. This is
all right.
True.
What else? What else do we have to talk about before we end the show? Do you want to talk about Canada joining the VLA?
Yes,
cool.
absolutely. This is exactly what I want to talk about. Big announcements coming out of the VLA or coming out of Canada about the VLA this past weekend. Suka Singh and Indokan Volleyball is going to be joining the VLA Tier 2 in the new year. I couldn't be more excited. Suka is, if you're not from Toronto, you probably don't know what Indokan is, and basically it's an mainly it's an Indian based, and I mean Indians from India, and volleyball organization. They have Indian only tournaments. If you were a fan of the old channel, you might have seen some of the streams that I did for them at the tournaments. Their tournaments have just been a blast, but most importantly, the rise of young Indian men, especially playing volleyball in Ontario, has grown dramatically. And the quality is super, super high. So they're going to get some of their best players and a few of some of the best players around from Toronto as well. I've heard some rumors that they're going to be bringing in a ringer from BC by the name of Irvin Breyer to play for their team, who's currently playing in Denmark. So yeah, I'm going to be excited. I'm talking to Suka. I'm probably going to come down with them for the Buffalo event that they do. So yeah, I'm excited. There's that first link of cross-border competition between the VLA for the Canada join the VLA, and I'm excited.
I'm excited as well. This is something that we wanted to expand towards when the league came into existence a couple years ago, and then COVID locked down the borders pretty significantly. So, yeah, we are very excited to host Indokan, the Toronto guys, in Buffalo in April, and then I heard they might be coming to Chicago in March as well, which would be insane. So, if you want to know a lot more about the VLA, we have an episode on Thursday. That's this Thursday, 2 days from now, Thursday the 23rd. I think we're going to do 7 p.m. Eastern. Check the VLA Instagram when we confirm that time. But we're going to go live on a show not that dissimilar from this and really get in deep and explain how the season works for the VLA. Just to summarize it really quick, it's a 2-tiered system. And like a lot of the leagues in Europe, you have the top division, the second division, whatever. They all have, the different competitive divisions. Tier 1 has 8 teams this year in the VLA. Tier 2 is growing extremely rapidly. It's not really like a set schedule thing that they play, but the model is like the Tier 1 will play their own regular season. Tier 2 and Tier 1 combine at these cup sort of tournaments. Each of the VLA divisions, West, Central, and East, will have their own cup tournament. Then there's going to be the VLA Cup, which is the big one, like we had last year at Loy Ball's place. We'll do that again in May, where we'll have as many teams as we can possibly fit in the gym. I think the number right now is looking like 20. We'll have all 8 Tier 1 teams and at least 12 from Tier 2, which will be insane. So Tier 2, really just as many teams as want to sign up and go to those cup tournaments in the regions and the big one in the middle. That is a rapidly growing division. So much interest. We have so many teams that want to play. It's incredible. Yeah, Indokan from Toronto. They're from literally everywhere, all over North America. The interest we've gotten is insane. So we're really excited about that. So tune in to the show on Thursday. I think it'll be a spin-off episode of Around the VLA. So follow the VLA on Instagram at VLA Volleyball, and find us on YouTube for that show on Thursday, just to kind of dig in to how the season works and how the schedule is going to work and how getting promoted from Tier 2 to Tier 1 is going to work and all that fun stuff. But I'm very, very excited to incorporate a Canadian team. It's about time.
Same, and I'm excited to come and hang out too. It should be a fun time. I will have to say though, if you guys blow up the show and we start making some money from it, I'll sponsor a spicy volleyball VLA team.
Oh, that would be tremendous.
Like there's more than enough talent like in and around the GTA in general to have 2 teams. So why not?
Dude, yeah, Toronto could easily have two teams. BC could have a team. Like there could be like a Trinity Western alumni team. I don't care. Montreal, a call out right now to any other Canadian groups of guys that play volleyball together all the time. If you want to play VLA, if you want to come south of the border a couple times and play these awesome tournaments, DM us or DM me on Instagram, DM the VLA at VLA Volleyball on Instagram. I would love to get more Canadian teams. I think there are a couple spots still in that Buffalo tournament in April. So if that makes sense for you geographically and with the schedule, hit
What?
us up.
How much does it cost to enter the tournament?
It's less than 1,000 for sure. Maybe like $600.
Oh,
Let me
what?
look that
Really?
up right now.
Okay, okay.
600 USD. I'm looking that up right now. VLA Cup Series. Yeah, check out the website, usavla.com. Um, Looks like, yeah, $600 per divisional cup tournament, and if you want to play VLA Cup, that'll be 750. So we've still got spots in all those tournaments as of right now. So if you're from Canada, you want to put in another Canadian team, please do hit us up. We've got plenty of spots open for you.
If someone wants to sponsor me and we'll put it in a team together. Let me know. Shoot me a DM and we'll make it happen.
It would be sick if we got a VLA team with the spicy volleyballs all over their jerseys. I think my life would be complete.
That would be. You would have to have your new favorite team.
Oh my God, I'm so spread thin with all the teams that I already love, but that would be one would be right up there.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You gotta make it happen.
Yeah, so check out the VLA and check out our show on Thursday where we get into more detail about how the season's going to work.
Cool. I'll tune in. Oh wait, no, I work, but I'll tune in later. Yeah.
Check out the replay. You know how YouTube works. So as to wrap up the show with like what's going on elsewhere around the world this week, we got Women's Champions League. There were some matches today. I don't think there was really anything that notable that happened today.
Nope.
Caneliano plays Police on Thursday. That's like the featured match of the week. That match will be okay, but I think Caneliano is significantly better than them. Oh man, I'm just looking at the schedule right now. This will be like the last week of Champions League. Then they'll take 2 full weeks off and come back like the second week of January for the men's, and then we finally get Lube versus Zaxa. That's going to be insane.
That is going to be insane. I'm definitely one of the matches that I'm looking forward to the most in the second half of the year.
Dinamo Moscow plays Novara women's on Thursday. That
Okay.
match will be good. Mulhouse plays Vakif Bank on Wednesday. That match will not be very good. Béziers plays Fenerbahce on Thursday. So check out Women's Champions League this week. And then the last thing is that normally the Italian leagues, both men's and women's, they absolutely cram as many matches as physically possible onto Boxing Day, December 26th. That's this Sunday. A couple of those have gotten moved or canceled because of COVID issues within the teams. There would normally be 7 women's matches. I think there's only going to be 5, which is still a lot. But there will be a lot of volleyball played on Sunday in Italy. So check that out on volleyballworld.tv if you want to watch that.
There's honestly nothing much. Like I'm looking at the men's schedule here, other than Modena versus Monza. There's not many compelling matches.
Yeah, not many really good ones. I think, Verona Piacenza Thursday is not great. Lube Padova, not great. Modena Monza, that's on Sunday. That'll be pretty good. And there'll be like one more round of matches before the new year. And then you get Piacenza Lube in that one. That could be pretty good. But definitely the league is still working on catching up from a couple COVID postponements. So again, the schedule might be pretty liquid.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes. It might be a meager few weeks of volleyball if things continue going the way they are.
Yeah, for real. All right, I think that's about it for the show, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to hop off and go drive up to my old high school where I get to play a little alumni open gym. That'll be a good time.
I'm jealous.
So, gonna go slap the ball around. Merry Christmas, everyone. Christmas coming up this weekend. Merry Christmas. We'll talk to you next week. We might be moving the show to Wednesday, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, we'll be back next week.
Yeah. Happy holidays, guys. We'll see you next week, and thanks for tuning in.
Peace out, everyone.